Welcome to Beyond Belief, the podcast where faith meets life, where ordinary people discover the extraordinary courage God places inside them, where questions are welcomed, doubts are honored, and hope is never out of reach. Each week, we explore the stories, the struggles, and the courage of those who chose to live their faith boldly, beyond routine, beyond comfort, beyond belief. Now, let's dive into Matthew 10 and discover what it means to follow courage where God calls. Let me ask you something. Have you ever said yes to something before you fully understood what you were signing up for? You join a gym, thinking you'll casually stroll on a treadmill. Then suddenly there's a trainer yelling, "Drop and give me 20. You volunteer at church, thinking it's one Sunday a month. Next thing you know, someone hands you a clipboard and says, "Congratulations, you're now coordinating the coffee ministry for the entire building." Sometimes the real story only begins after we say yes. And following Jesus works the same way. And that's exactly what happens in Matthew 10. Jesus sends ordinary people on an extraordinary mission. Before they leave, he tells them the truth. Not the polished version, not the Instagram highlight reel, the real version. And strangely, it's empowering. Faith stops feeling fragile and starts feeling like the greatest adventure of your life. Let me tell you something I once believed about faith. I thought following God meant life would become easier. Not perfect, but smoother. Like God was my divine life assistant. God, help me find a parking space. God, fix this problem. God, please smooth out the next few years. But then life happened. Criticism from people I respected. Doors closing that I thought God had opened. Moments where doing the right thing actually made life harder, not easier. And I remember thinking, God, I thought following you was supposed to make life easier. Slowly, I began to understand something. Jesus never promised an easy life. He promised a meaningful life. And meaningful things often require courage. Maybe you felt that too. You try to live with integrity, and it costs you something. You choose forgiveness, and it feels heavy. You stand for what you believe, and people misunderstand you. And somewhere along the way, we start wondering, am I doing this right? Is faith supposed to feel like this? This is exactly where Matthew 10 meets us. Jesus gathers 12 ordinary men, fishermen, tax collectors, regular people, and he sends them out to heal the sick, bring hope, and announce God's kingdom. But listen to what he tells them in verse 16. "I am sending you out like sheep among wolves." Not lions, not warriors, sheep. Meaning there will be moments when you feel vulnerable, moments when you feel uncertain, moments when you feel outnumbered. But then Jesus says something powerful in verse 20. "It will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you." You are not alone. God is with you. The disciples stand on the edge of the first village, hands shaking, hearts racing. Jesus says, "You're not alone. The Spirit of your Father is with you." You feel it in your chest. The God of the universe walks with you. Every conversation, every challenge, every fear, he is there. Then Jesus says something difficult in verse 22. "You will be hated because of me." Now, that's not a verse people put on a decorative pillow. But Jesus is preparing his followers for courage. If life is expected to be easy, the first obstacle will stop you. But when you understand courage will be required, you become stronger. And then Jesus says something awesome in verse 29. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet none of them fall outside your Father's care. God notices sparrows, tiny birds people barely see. And then Jesus adds in verse 31, so do not be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. God sees you. God knows you. God has not forgotten you. Faith becomes courageous when you remember who walks with you. Imagine the disciples walking into a village, their hearts racing, hands shaking. Someone approaches them and says, "Please pray for my sick child." They pray, and suddenly healing happens, hope spreads, and they begin to realize something incredible. God works through ordinary people. Courage grows, one step at a time. So what might courage look like for you? Maybe a difficult conversation. Maybe forgiveness. Maybe trusting God with your future. Maybe choosing hope when fear feels louder. God doesn't call perfect people. He calls willing people. Think about it. A small group of ordinary people. No money, no buildings, no political power, just faith, courage, trust. 2,000 years later, we're still telling their story, still living the mission, still discovering that courage works through ordinary lives that say yes. And then Jesus says something that changes everything in verse 39. Whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. If we try to protect life at all costs, it ends up small. But when we trust God, step into courage, live the mission He calls us to, we discover the life we were truly created for. Think about it again. A small group of ordinary people once carried the message of Jesus across the world. No money, no buildings, no political power, just faith, courage, trust. And today, we are still telling their story, still walking their mission, still discovering that courage works. Following Jesus doesn't remove difficulty. It fills life with purpose, courage, and meaning. Sometime this week, ask God, where are you inviting me to be courageous? Take one courageous step. Faith really grows with giant leaps. It grows with small acts of trust. May you discover courage where fear once lived. May you trust God in moments of uncertainty. May you walk boldly into the life God is calling you to. And may your life become a story of faith, courage, and transformation. Faith is not a life you read about. Faith is a life you step into. Go boldly. Go courageously. Go beyond belief. Thank you for listening to Beyond Belief. If this episode inspired you, share it. Encourage someone. One message, one moment, one act of courage can change everything. Until next time, keep seeking, keep growing, keep moving beyond belief. God bless.